Hello friends, welcome to Awdhesh Academy, and today we are going to start a new lesson and also a new chapter that is about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is extremely important for everyone. Whether you are a professional, whether you are a family person, whether you are a civil servant, whether you are a politician, entrepreneur, leader, there is absolutely no doubt that emotional intelligence is one of the most important characteristic of a person. If you cannot feel the emotions of other people, you hardly have got any chance of success in your life. So today we are going to learn about the fundamentals of emotional intelligence. What actually is emotional intelligence? But before we go for emotional intelligence, let's understand the intelligence itself. The intelligence is broadly defined as the capacity to understand the world and resourcefulness to cope up with its challenges. See, if you want to succeed in this world, you should have the accurate knowledge of the world. Because the world is throwing you problem every day, every moment. And only when you are able to tackle those problems, you are likely to succeed in your life. So emotional intelligence is part of it, because without emotions, it is not possible to understand the people and the world in the fullest manner. Intelligence basically refers to the individual's ability to understand complex ideas, to adapt effectively to the environment. This requires emotional intelligence, to learn from experience, to engage in various forms of reasoning, and to overcome obstacle by careful thoughts. So if you have all these capacities, abilities, then you are likely to succeed in this world, and people will say, okay, this person is an intelligent person. Emotional intelligence is part of the intelligence. It is not different from the regular concept of intelligence. Without having emotional basis, actually the knowledge is incomplete. It is like the word which is typed in a computer. Computer knows all the words, but it doesn't understand the feelings or the spirit behind this word. As a human being also, if we don't have emotions, we can memorize all the words, but we will not understand the true intent of the words. Let's now understand the history of the emotional intelligence. The concept of emotional intelligence has got nothing new. It is there since ages. In 4th century BC, a famous Greek philosopher said, all learning has an emotional base. Without emotions, we cannot do learning. We cannot learn the thing properly. If you remember, in our own country, the famous Sufi poet Kabir Das said, पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जग मुआ पंडित भया न कोय ढाई आखर प्रेम का पढ़े जो पंडित होए. Again he said the same thing, that if you have knowledge of all the scriptures, all the books, you are not a wise person. Only when you have love in your heart, then only you are the truly wise person. So this is very, very important. So this concept of emotional intelligence is very, very old. But in 1930s, Edward Thorngillet gave this term social intelligence, and he said that this is the ability to get along with other people. So initially, social intelligence meant that how we get along with other people, because people knew that this trait is very, very important. In 1985, Wayne Pane introduced the term emotional intelligence in his doctoral dissertation titled A Study of Emotion, Developing Emotional Intelligence, Self-Integration Relating to Fear, Pain and Desire. Then in 1987, Keith Beasley used the term emotional quotient in an article published in Mensa magazine, and that was perhaps the first published use of this term. But the concept of emotional intelligence became popular in the world after in 1995, Daniel Goleman wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than the IQ. In this book, Daniel Goleman said that for the leaders or for success, the emotional intelligence is more important than the IQ, which we may consider the criteria for success. Now let's define emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify and manage your own emotions and emotions of others. That means you should be able to identify your emotions and other people's emotion. You should be able to manage your emotions and other people's emotion. So if you can create the necessary emotions which is required for the given situation for succeeding in life, then you are truly an emotionally intelligent person. So it is generally said that the emotional intelligence should include 3 skills. Number 1, understanding emotion of self and others, using emotion for solving complex problems of life, and third, that managing emotions to lead a happy and successful life. If you cannot manage your emotions, if you are full of hatred, anger, there is absolutely no way you can become happy or successful in your life. There are many benefits if you can develop emotional intelligence. For example, if you are emotionally intelligent, you will have better social interaction and better relationships, because all the relationships are connected with each other only by the bond of emotion. Emotions are like the glue which connect people. Otherwise, no two people can stay together if there is no emotional connect with each other. Then emotional intelligence led to better self-perception. If you are emotionally intelligent, you can understand yourself better. Most people, what happens is that they consider themselves different than what other people consider them. You have to be emotionally intelligent to know what you truly are. And when there is no difference between your perception of yourself and society's perception of yourself, then you will be able to work out very well in whichever field you choose to be. Emotional intelligence gives you a positive attitude of life. You will be full of energy because you will feel connected with each other and not isolated from others. You will not fear other people. You will not be pessimistic. You will be full of positive attitude. You will have better family and intimate relationships. With a spouse, with your children, you can have much stronger relationship if you are emotionally intelligent. Your performance in the academics will also improve. Because if you feel like studying, if you are full of positive energy, if you are full of love, if you are full of hope and optimism, naturally you will be much more focused when you are studying, and your performance is also going to improve. Then you have better social relationship during work and during negotiation. In your office, you will be very comfortable with your colleagues, your bosses, your subordinates, and definitely your performance is going to go up. When you have to deal with other people, you can always negotiate a term which is mutually acceptable to both, and so it will avoid all chances of confrontation. And thus, if you are emotionally intelligent, you will have a better psychological well-being. You will be psychologically happy and healthy. So these are the advantages of emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman is considered to be the most prominent figure for emotional intelligence. He said, in a very real sense, we have two minds, one that thinks and one that feels. Sometimes we call it heart and head. We know that the source of our feeling and the source of our rational thinking come from different type of mind, different half of mind. Sometimes the scientists say that our left brain actually do the rational thinking and the right brain do the emotional feelings. And therefore, a leader and successful person is one who is able to perfectly harmonize and coordinate the left and right brain, that means the rational thinking as well as the emotional feelings which he has. If you have the synergy of the two, nobody can stop you and you can be extremely successful in your life. Excessive emotion is bad, excessive rationality is bad, the balance of the two is the best. So Daniel Goleman said that EI accounts for more career success than IQ. He says that high IQ persons are more aware of their emotions and the emotions of others, and therefore they can lead the companies better. A high EQ employee shows more confidence in their roles, which allows them to face demanding tasks more positively. If you are confident about yourself, there is no doubt that you can perform much better in your job. Then it develops a strong and positive relationship with the co-worker and perform efficiently and effectively in the work teams. So these are the advantages in the workplace, and therefore the emotional intelligence is not only good for your family, for your relationships, but also professionally, and that is the reason that if the person has to select a CEO or the top person for the job, he will select a person who is also having a very high EQ or emotional intelligence. So he believed that EI or emotional intelligence is the better predictor of job performance than the IQ. Many times you will find that people blame their feelings, emotions, love for their problems. Many people are full of hatred, anger, and they feel that their success is not because of the negative emotion. Let us first understand that there is nothing good or bad in this world. For example, fire. Is it good or bad? You can't say, because you can use the fire for cooking your food and you can use the fire for burning a house. Water. It can cause flood, but it fills your stomach and it also gives you life. Air. If there is a huge wind, it can destroy, but without air we cannot survive. Food also is like that. Excessive of food or wrong type of food can cause harm, but without food also we cannot live. Same way electricity, wealth and power. Everything has got a positive side and the negative side. It depends upon how you use it. In the same way, all emotions can be used in the positive manner or in the negative manner, like love. Now love is a positive emotion, but there are many crimes which takes place because of the love. If you are unable to control your love, if you are unable to love the right person, then your life is not good. You will have a lot of problem. In the same way, hatred. It is generally considered to be a negative emotion. But if you hate the wrong type of person, wrong type of deeds, and wrong type of actions, then you will be on the right path. So hatred per se is not bad. It depends upon whether you are able to use it properly or not. Same way, the trust is a positive emotion but can be misused. Fear is a negative emotion, but you can also use it in the positive sense at the right time. Kindness, anger, all these things have both pluses and minuses. It depends upon how you use it. That is why Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers of the world, once said, anyone can become angry. That is easy, but to be angry with the right person and to the right degree at the right time for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power, and that is not easy. And a person who can use his anger also in the right way is the person who can be said to be a truly intelligent person, truly emotionally intelligent person. So you should know how to channelize your emotions to achieve the desired objective. Now, in order to understand how emotions can be used for any purpose, including passing a judgment on a very critical, I want to tell you the story of King Solomon. He is considered to be one of the wisest king who ever lived. This story is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. Now, in this story, what happens? There are two mothers, and they gave birth to a child, and one of the baby died. So the baby which survived, both women claimed the ownership of the baby. So they came to the King Solomon and they said that this baby belonged to them. Now in those days, of course, there was no DNA test. Nobody could prove whom the baby belonged. But King Solomon has a wonderful idea. He said, cut the baby into two. Take the sword, cut the baby into two. Give half of to each mother. Everybody was horrified. So the true mother was more horrified. Now she said, I don't want the half of the child, let it be given to the other woman. While the other woman said, okay, fine, if I don't get it, the other person will also not get it. Because once you cut the boy into half, naturally the boy cannot survive. Then king decided that the lady who said that she doesn't want the son or the child is the true mother. Because no mother would like her child to be dissected, to be killed. She will be more happy if the child is with the other woman than if the child dies. And that is how, understanding the human emotion, he was able to pass a judgment which was fair, true, and just. In the same way, my friend, if you have emotional intelligence, you can take the right decision in most of the real life situation. So I hope that you have been able to understand the fundamental concepts of emotional intelligence, and we can use this concept when we are working in any profession, including civil services. Thank you very much for watching the video. We are on the chapter Emotional Intelligence. In the last lesson, we have learned about the fundamentals of emotional intelligence. Today we are going to learn about the different models of emotional intelligence. There are different models or methods to express emotional intelligence, and today we are going to learn about that. Broadly speaking, there are three models. First is called the ability model, the second is called the trait model, and third is called the mix model, which is actually having the traits of both, and it has been popularized by Daniel Goleman. Let's first talk about the ability model. This ability model is developed by Salovey and Mayer. They defined emotional intelligence as the ability to perceive emotions, integrate emotions to facilitate thoughts, understand emotions, and to regulate emotions to promote personal growth. This type of emotional intelligence or ability-based emotional intelligence has basically four components. The first ability of the ability-based emotional intelligence is perceiving emotions. That means we should be able to detect and decipher the emotions when we see the face of a person, even a picture, even a voice, anything. You just hear a voice and you understand the emotion of the person. Mothers are very good in that. The mother is talking to the child on phone. Child is laughing, but she can feel the pain because she is very much emotionally connected with the child. No feeling can be suppressed by the child to his mother. So that is the meaning of the perceiving emotions. The second ability is using emotions. That means how you use your emotion on different situations to achieve the desired result or to solve a particular problem. You must have felt that in some time you can solve the problem by getting angry. Sometime non-cooperation work. Sometime crying works. Sometime repentance work. Every person, every situation require a different type of use of emotions. Crying can melt somebody's heart, but totally useless before another person. You should know how to use your emotions to achieve the desired result. The third important point is understanding emotions. You should be able to understand the emotional language and appreciate the complicated relationship between the emotions. There is a very beautiful song in Hindi. It says, तुम इतना जो मुस्कुरा रहे हो, क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो? Why are you smiling so much? What is the pain which you are trying to suppress with your smile? This only an intelligent person can understand. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you will feel that the person is very happy. But if you are emotionally intelligent, you can understand that the person is undergoing a pain and he is only suppressing that pain by smiling more and more. The fourth important thing is managing emotions. The ability to regulate emotions in both ourselves and in others. A person with a high emotional intelligence can harness the emotions, even the negative emotions, and manage to get the intended goal. You should be able to manage your emotions. See, in our life, we get depressed, we feel pain, we lose. The real challenge is not to convert the negative emotions into a depression, not to be too much happy, not to be too much sad. We should be able to manage our feelings within a reasonable limit. And if you have this ability, then you are an emotionally intelligent person. Secondly, there is a trait model. In the first ability model, people can measure your ability, but in the trait model, what happens? You measure your ability yourself. So here the emotional quotient is defined as a constellation of emotional self-perception located in the lower level of personality. That means below the mind, your feelings, if you are able to understand them yourself, self-assess, that is what is called trait model. In the trait model, nobody else measure your ability, you measure yourself. So emotional intelligence is seen as an individual's self-perception of his emotional ability, including behavior and self-perceived abilities. For example, let us say I read a book. Let us imagine that I am staying in my home. In the eyes of somebody who doesn't like read books, who is a party person, I am an unhappy person, unsatisfied person. If he has to assess my happiness, he will say this man is a moron. He has no happiness in his life. But is he right? No. Because whether I am happy or not is my judgment. Only I can tell whether I am happy or I am sad. If I am happy sitting in my home, it is nobody's business to say that I am unhappy. Their assessment is wrong. That is why the trait model says that only you can find out your emotions, nobody else can find out your emotions. And so in this particular model, which is developed by Patridges, he has developed a self-report through an trait emotional questionnaire, TEIQ, by which we measure our own emotions and our own emotional intelligence. Now in this TEIQ model, you are asked to assess yourself on different criteria like impulsiveness, relationship, optimism, emotional regulation, self-esteem, happiness trait, adaptability, assertiveness, and other things. These are 15 different types of abilities which you assess yourself. Because only you know whether you are motivated or not, whether you are happy with the relationship or not, nobody else can. And so this is a trait model where you assess your own happiness, your own emotions. Third is called the mixed model, and this mixed model is having the trait from both the sides, ability model and trait model. This has been developed by Daniel Goleman, and it focuses EI as a variety of competencies and skills that drive leadership performance. Basically what Goleman's contribution is that he said how these emotions can be used to achieve performance and success. How can you become leader? How can you develop leadership qualities by harnessing the power of intelligence? And so this emotional intelligence is related to performance. It is external in nature. There are basically 5 components here. Let us discuss one by one. The first is called self-awareness. We have already covered that. That means if you are an emotionally intelligent person, we know our own emotions, our own strength and our own weaknesses. What drives us? What is our value? What is our goal? So an emotional intelligence person is having a high level of self-awareness. He recognizes their impact on others using his gut feelings to guide decisions. He has a high sense of intuition and he uses his intuition to take the decisions. They can predict behavior accurately due to their self-knowledge. They know what is going to make them happy, what is going to make them unhappy. They are very much aware of their own emotions and they take those actions which make them happy and make them do the things. They don't allow their feelings to dominate their rational mind. Yes, sometimes they are under the influence of feelings, but gradually their rational mind take control of it. They don't allow the feelings to have the upper hand. They balance their emotional and rational mind to achieve the best result in their life. The second is self-regulation. The EI people or emotionally intelligent people exercise self-control and self-regulation. They are self-disciplined. Nobody else has to tell them what is to be done, what is not to be done, because they are self-regulated, they are self-disciplined. They can control and redirect their disruptive emotions and impulses. So suppose you are feeling very, very angry, you can find a right way to express your anger in a productive manner, in a constructive manner, so that instead of destroying you or anybody, it actually uses you as a tool to deliver a positive thing in life. They can therefore adapt to different situations. They are very adaptable because they can mold themselves into every situation. They use emotions to generate passion and love in their life. They are not afraid of the emotions. See, you have to understand that emotion is like a fuel in a car, without which the car cannot move. But our rational mind is like the steering of the car. So if the car is moving, you should be able to control it with your rational mind. But if there is no fuel, car cannot move. So without emotions, you cannot move and you cannot do anything. You cannot have motivation. But even if you have emotions, you must have the rational mind to control yourself. The third important thing for an emotionally intelligent person is to have a great social skill. The emotional intelligent people are very good in managing relationships with their friends, relatives, bosses, subordinates, neighbors, due to their ability to understand other people's emotions. Because if you don't understand other people's pain and happiness and their sorrow and the difficulties, you will not be able to connect with them. And therefore, if you are emotionally intelligent, you can easily connect with them, and therefore your relationship will last for a very long time. They like the people because they are genuinely connected with the people, and that is the reason they are also liked by other people. So there is a mutual liking, and this mutual liking connect them with the other members of the society. They are the people who believe on the teamwork. They don't mind giving credit to others. They want to keep everybody happy. They are not selfish. That's why they create social bonding. That's why they create team. And they don't bother about the individual glory. So that is what you have to understand. That if you want to be socially skillful, you should be able to take care of other people as well. They are able to communicate their feelings very well and understand the feeling of other people. You will find that some people suppress their feeling. They are feeling angry, they are liking somebody, but they don't express their feeling. Because they feel, if I say, what other person will do. But if you are an emotionally intelligent person, you don't have to suppress the feeling because you know how to express your feeling in the right manner. Their relationships last for a very long time. Their friends are years old. Once you make friendship with them, it is going to last for life. So that is the social skill with an emotionally intelligent person. The fourth important quality which the emotionally intelligent person should have is to have empathy. Empathy is basically the ability of the people to identify with and understand wants, needs, and viewpoint of other people. That means you should be able to place yourself in the shoes of the other person and feel exactly as to what that other person is feeling. That is what is empathy. So the high EQ people are good at understanding other people's feeling, and then when they make a decision, that decision is a good decision because that take care of not only their point of view but the other person's point of view, and therefore both of them agree for whatever he does. These people are good listener, they are non-judgmental, and they are very compassionate because they don't differentiate between themselves, their interest, and the other person's interest. And the fifth important quality of these emotional intelligence people is motivation. These people are self-motivated. They want to accomplish the task. They don't need any external type of motivation because they feel connected. When they help other people, it is as good as helping themselves. They are driven to achieve great things in life, not because it is serving them anything, because it is serving the society. They love the very process of achievement, not the achievement itself. They like the journey itself and not too much concerned about the goal. They use their feelings to develop intuition that help them taking fast and often a better decision making. The motivation comes from heart. Motivation is not from mind. If you are starting thinking about the mind, then you are bothered more about the failure than about the success. Your heart is your pump for motivation. They use the emotions in the right time, in the right way, in the right quality and quantity to achieve the best result. So this motivation is another great quality of an emotionally intelligent person. Now let me tell you a very beautiful story, a Zen story, which explains how emotions plays very important role in the life of even monks. There were two monks who were traveling together. One was an older monk, one was a little younger monk. Then they came to a river where there was a very strong current. There was a very young and beautiful woman who wanted their help because she was unable to cross the river. Now the senior monk lifted that woman on his shoulder and crossed the river. Now the younger monk was very much disturbed. He was very much shocked at the behavior of the senior monk. So after they have traveled some distance, the younger monk asked, "We are monks. We are not permitted to touch a woman. How can you carry the woman on your shoulder?" The senior monk smiled and said, "I left the woman on the bank long time ago, but you are still carrying the woman in your mind." The meaning is that you should know to use your emotions. Was it a right action that in order to follow the basic principles of monks, they would have allowed that woman to be on the other side of the shore or help that woman to cross the river? So you have to understand that the feelings are very, very important, and you should be able to use the right feeling for the benefit of others, for the benefit of the society. And if you can use the feeling in the right manner, you are an emotionally intelligent person. So today, my friends, we have learned about the different types of emotional intelligence, how they are defined, and I hope that you have been able to understand the three different types: the trait model, the ability model, and the mixed model of Daniel Goleman. Thank you very much for watching the video. We are learning about emotional intelligence. In the previous lectures, we have learned the definition of emotional intelligence. We have also learned that if you want to become a leader, then emotional intelligence is the most important component of life. Because with emotions, we connect with other people. We create team. We build a team. We perform exceedingly well if there is an emotional connect between the people. Now, today we are going to learn how to develop emotional intelligence. The most important thing about emotional intelligence is that you should develop empathy. Now, what is the meaning of empathy? Empathy basically means to realize the feelings, emotions, sufferings of other people. It is by imagination, but it comes naturally. Because what happens that if you can feel the pain of other people, then you will try to help that person so that he is free from the pain. Just like when you are in pain, you want to be free of pain, because if you are in pain, you cannot sleep properly, you cannot live properly. In the same way, if you have empathy, you can feel the pain of other people, as a result of which you would like to see that the other person is free of pain. Now, how do you develop empathy? Most of the civil servants and most of the people who are well off generally stay away from the poor people or people who are suffering. As a result of which they are unable to feel their pain. You must have seen that even in a movie, when we know that it is pure story, we know it is a pure work of fiction, but still, if we find the main characters in pain, we sometimes start crying. Because when we see the suffering of other people, we cannot become inhuman, and it is impossible that we are not touched with the feeling of the person. And therefore, it is important that we should mix with the people very freely. So, whatever is your position, whether you are a collector, SP or commissioner, you must meet with the ordinary people. When you meet with them, interact with them, you will be able to connect with them and develop an emotional connect with them, and that is how you will develop emotional intelligence. The next important point is that you have to reduce the negative emotions in you. You see, what happens that we normally focus the negative side of the people. What is the weakness in other person? And what happens that when we focus on the negative side, we develop hatred, we develop anger. That is why Dale Carnegie, the writer of How to Win Friends and Influence People, has very beautifully said, any fool can criticize, complain and condemn, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. It's very easy to criticize. So what happens that if we don't like something, we criticize, then the other fellow criticizes us, and then we criticize more, and that is how this negative feeling getting multiplied, and we create more and more negative environment around us. So we have to learn to see the positive side of life. Every person who is having a negative side also has a positive side, and if we can focus on the positive side, we can see goodness in people and we can create positive environment. The third very, very important point is that we should try to understand the people as they are. See, what happens that most of the time we create our own image of the person, image of the society, image of the teacher, image of the father, image of the mother, image of the children, and if they don't fit into that, we feel pain. Instead of that, we should try to understand the people as they are. There is a very famous French proverb which says, to understand all is to forgive all. Because if you understand a person properly, there is no way you can hate the person. Because you will also understand why he is doing what he is doing. And therefore, my friend, if you want to develop emotional intelligence, you must understand the people, you must put yourself into their shoes and try to see why they are doing what they are doing. And you should not expect that everybody should be what you think, because you have to understand that it is your imagination, it is not that person's imagination, and therefore you cannot force the word to fit into your imagination. In Hindi, Sant Kabir has said a very beautiful quote or very beautiful doha, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा न मिलिया कोई जो दिल देखा आपना मुझसे बुरा न कोई. The meaning is that I wanted to search for the most wicked or crooked person, but I found nobody. But when I found my own heart or saw inside my mind, inside my heart, we found that I am the worst person. The meaning is that all the evil which you are seeing in the other person is actually hidden within you. And if you see your evil and see the positive side of the other person, then you will have a very much positive environment. You will start loving the person and you will develop compassion. The fourth important point is avoid stress and maintain calm. See, what happens that we have a limited capacity to work. If you work more than your capacity, if you take more strain than you should take, then what happens that your emotional balance is disturbed. You start getting angry on very small pretext. So it is important that we maintain a good routine. We don't take unnecessary stress Try to avoid the situation which create unnecessary stress. Try to avoid the people who make you stressful, and therefore we maintain calm in our life. See, there are certain unexpected situations in life, and you should be mentally prepared to take those unexpected situations, so that when those situations come, you are ready for it, and therefore you don't get disturbed. So important that if your mind is peaceful, if you are having calm, if you are having routine in your life, if you are not overstressed, then you will not be emotionally disturbed. You will be emotionally successful, you are emotionally intelligent person. The fifth important clue or strategy to improve your emotional intelligence is to express your emotion. You must have found that many people suppress their emotion because they feel that if they express their emotion, it will hurt other people or it will create a reaction for which they are not ready for. It is important that if we are angry, we don't show our anger in a manner that it hurt other people. But at the same time, we must know how to express our emotions, when to express our emotion. Because Buddha has said that holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent to throwing it at someone else. You are the one who get burned. So if you are holding a hot coal, anger is like that. So if you are very angry inside, then you are burning yourself before you are burning other people. So you must try to see that the anger is not accumulated, but the best thing is that the anger is not caused at all. So why the anger is caused, let us understand by help of a story. So there was a saint who was visiting a river, and he found a group of family members on the banks, and they were shouting at each other in a very angry tone. So he asked one of his disciples, why do you think these people are shouting at each other? Now the disciple said that they are shouting because they have lost their calm, they have lost their temper. Then the saint asked again, why they have lost their temper, why they have lost their calm? Then the disciple tried to give some reply, but they have not been able to give any reply. Ultimately, the saint explained. He said, when two people are angry with each other, then their heart is at a larger distance. Even though they are sitting next to each other, but the distance between their heart is very wide. As a result of which, to compensate that, they have to shout at each other. But when we are in love with each other, we whisper because we don't have to shout, because the distance between our heart is very low. And we are in deeply love with each other, then we don't have to even speak. We can see the eyes of the other person and we can understand the communication. So understand that anger is because of the distrust, because we don't have love and compassion for each other. If you have love and compassion for each other, you will never get angry. So best thing is that anger should not be created. But in case it is created, because of certain unavoidable reasons, we should be in a position to express it properly. The sixth very important point is that we should think positive. If you take a glass which is half filled, you can see the glass as half empty, or we can see the glass as half filled with water. And both the statements are equally correct. In the same way, in life also, everything has a positive aspect, everything has a negative aspect. Even when we fail, we don't feel absolutely, we achieve some level of success. So if we see the positive side of every person, positive side of our work, positive side of even our failure, then you will develop a positive attitude toward others. And when you are thinking positive about others, then you will develop emotional connect, and that is how you will develop emotional intelligence. The seventh very important point is learn from failure. You see, when we are emotionally connecting with each other, it is not necessary that the relationship will succeed. Sometimes what happens that the relationship does not work out. Heart breaks. The people whom we trust does not reciprocate the trust. Or he or she has been unfaithful, or somebody has found that they are actually speaking ill about you and your heart is broken. In that situation, what happens? That many people develop a tremendous negativity about the human relationship itself. They stop connecting with people. They isolate themselves. They start hating other people. This is a very, very wrong attitude. Look, there are good people, there are bad people. And by your failure to make a good relationship with one person does not mean that everybody is a bad person. So, if you fail in one relationship, it is all the more necessary that you connect with other people so that you get a positive feedback also. Because if you stop connecting with other people, you will have only that negative impression, and that is going to create only an hatred. This is like failure in any other field. Now, Michael Jordan, who is one of the world's top basketball player, he has once said, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games, 26 times. I have been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeeded." See, whether it is your worldly affair, whether it is your emotional affairs, unless you experiment, unless you fail, you cannot succeed, and therefore you cannot develop emotional intelligence. So keep trying, keep developing good relationship with people. There is a very beautiful saying, गिरते हैं शहसवार ही मैदान जंग में, वो तिफल क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चलें. Only when we try, then we fail. If you don't try, you can't fail, but you can't succeed as well. Keep trying. That's very, very important to develop emotional intelligence. And finally, the eighth important reason or eighth important clue to develop emotional intelligence is to be hopeful. See, hope is the food for soul. A person who has no wealth, a person who has nothing in his life can still be happy, can still survive if he has hope in his heart. Never, never lose hope in your life. Hope is the food for soul. Always hope for the best, even though you should be mentally prepared for the worst, but always keep hoping for the best, and consider the God or nature to be benevolent, because they are like our parents. Just like parents always want their children to have the best life, God always wants us to be happy, and therefore we should always believe that the nature or God is always helping us, and they are going to see that we are more happy, we are most happy, and we take care of all our problems of life. Martin Luther King Jr. has beautifully said, we must accept finite disappointment but never lose infinite hope. Our hope should be infinite, and we should always keep hoping for the best, and that is the clue, and that is the reason we can maintain our emotional intelligence. So today we have discussed about 8 reasons, 8 methods using which we can develop emotional intelligence. We can become highly emotional intelligent and thereby connect with people, develop faith with people, get trust of the people, and perform exceedingly well as a civil servant, as a professional, as a family person, or as any other person in this life. Thank you very much for watching the video. Keep watching the video. Please take the questions which are at the end of the session and share this with your friend. Thank you very much.